Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So today we are going to do another Q&A, but we also have a little bit of channel news before we get into that. Recently, we kind of had everybody here together, and one of the things that has happened since we all started having a designated place to work is people have seen the whiteboard that I use to keep track of topics. And it was pointed out that basically I will board up and research, 60 topics a week, and only 28 get turned into videos. And I was asked about those that don't make it and don't actually get turned into videos and what happens to them. When I said that nothing becomes of them, somebody suggested putting those into basically a headline real quick. This is stuff that happened. It's information you're going to see again, and putting it on this channel as the road's not taken. So you will probably see something like that soon. And it will just cover what is likely to be underreported news that will help provide context to bigger news later. So just a heads up on that. Okay, so getting into the questions. Bailey Sarian and Stephanie Harlow should be giving you an advertising fee for their merchandise. If you don't know, a lot of the shirts that I wear frequently, like the one that says allegedly, the one that says say it with me, the justice system is broken, suspicious, nay, nay, I say, all of those are from them. I don't think they need to give me an advertising fee. I just appreciate that they put out shirts that have been oh so useful very often lately, dealing with all of the legal entanglements that politicians are getting involved in. Okay, your approach... You approach your stories with deliberation and critical thinking. You're careful to not state your personal opinions on most things, and that's so freaking important for a journalist to do. When you do personalize your videos, your attitude is always a positive one, and I guess that's why I'm writing. How do you maintain positivity? Don't have a choice. I mean, what's the alternative? To not maintain a positive attitude? To me, that's just surrender. It doesn't do any good. It's a lot like the real definition of panic, the inability to affect self-help. If you get to where you can't maintain a positive attitude, you fall into the same category. You can't... You are not fully committed if you believe that there's no use. So I don't view it as an option. I'm sure there's probably a psychologist out there writing a paper on that. It may not be the healthiest way to look at it, but I really don't see an alternative. Okay. Will this carve Republicans away from MAGA? And it's a link to the article about the Federalist Society members arguing that Trump is disqualified. Some, like normal Republicans, yeah, it will probably help them move away and come to a different view on things. The MAGA Republicans, probably not. They're just going to say that they're part of some grand plot to get Trump. How much do you think age will be a factor in the 2024 presidential election, given Dianne Feinstein's age and health problems and Mitch McConnell's recent brain freeze on camera? I wonder if this will influence people's willingness to support Joe Biden. I think Joe Biden is a really great president. I think it's going to hinge on who his opposition is. I mean, you have to remember the two... it's not like Trump is young, and there is still a high probability that Trump wins the primary. So I don't know. I don't know. And if the economy continues to improve and people begin to perceive the improvements, because you have to remember the data is one thing, people feeling it and believing that it's improving, that's something else. If the economy starts to improve, I don't think it's going to matter. I think the economy is going to play a huge part in this election. After the Hawaii video, I have to ask, do you have a shirt for every state? I do not, but I am actively working on trying to get one. In the YouTube video about the Montgomery docks, it sounds very much like you said hallowed ground several times, which is what the captioning picked up. The term is hallowed ground. Yeah, that's just my accent. Hallowed ground, I guess. Hallowed. Yeah, that's just my accent. I know it's an A. It just doesn't make that sound for me. I had somebody telling me the same thing about the word program recently, because I guess I say program. Okay, to put your message in perspective, 41% of people in Ohio wanted to be ruled. Ouch, man. That hurts. If it required a 60% majority, 59% of the population would have had their will to be represented taken away by the 41% that wanted to be ruled. That's actually a really good point. If that amendment, if that change was made in Ohio with issue 1, the landslide that we saw there wouldn't have been enough to get anything else passed. That's how severe it is. That's a really good point, and I wish I had seen this before making a recent video, because there's another video coming out about that, and you are not going to believe what's happening there now. Can you talk about the cute fox videos in Ukraine? I'm trying to decide whether or not I want to ruin this for people. If you are unaware, there have been a bunch of videos featuring foxes. A bunch. I've seen 3. There may be more. And they just have foxes that are like coming up to either Russian or Ukrainian troops and just like hanging out. And they are cute as long as you don't think about them. If you have seen them and you would like to maintain the cuteness of those videos, cover your ears for a few seconds until I look back down at the screen down here, until I look away from the camera. You need to think about why an animal that is an opportunistic eater is hanging around the trenches. It's not as cute when you put it in perspective. Okay, now that I have ruined that for everybody, Trump has been on the block for a while now relating to his allegedly criminal actions. I'm going to edit that a little bit. A network has been sued relating to Trump's lies. Will the members of Congress who have encouraged him / covered for him ever face consequences other than those that are instigated by the voters? I think some will. And I think we may actually see that relatively soon. I do believe that there are some people in Congress who went beyond the protections afforded to them by the speech and debate clause, and we may see that relatively quickly. Do you think the result of all the back and forth with Trump will be your maxim writ large? Can't win a primary without him, can't win the general with him? Yeah, I do. Barring something like really wild, that saying, it applies to him too. Please talk about the Fitch downgrade of the U.S. credit from AAA to AA+. Okay, I will, but that's going to be in a separate video. When I get into economics, I like to be very, very deliberate in what I say and not just come off the cuff with it. So that will be a separate video over on the main channel. Okay, I go to UT, and 4 or 5 of us who grew up without dad say you're our surrogate dad, and I doubt we're alone. Can you maybe do a video with advice for 20-somethings women, 20-something women in their 20-somethings with daddy issues? By the way, we used to call you Daddy Bo, but that led to a misunderstanding, and I'm not going to read any more of this. Okay, so I have a video titled, Let's Talk About the Advice I Give My Sons. And it doesn't actually look like one of mine because it was filmed like by a campfire. And it actually kind of doesn't even sound like me because it's very different. Watch that and watch it to the end, to the very end. If there are any specific questions that you have, question for FOR, Beau, B-E-A-U, at Gmail. Just send them over. Given the number of Russian flags and slogans we see in the pro-coup protests, and given the timing of the coups happening right after the African leaders' delegation to see Putin, but without jumping to conclusions, is it reasonable to suspect Wagner Group had a direct role? And what open source can be used to determine that? I have a theory on this, so I'm going to pass on this. I'm not going to answer this question. What I will say is that if I thought you were completely off base, I would say now. I think it's a little bit more nuanced than that, but I don't think that what you're saying here is completely out of the realm of possibility. Let's see. You're approaching 100K. Will that play button mean as much to you as the first? More? Does channel size really matter to you? Love your content. Glad to be a supporter. Yeah, this channel is getting close to that. I don't know as far as the button itself. I don't know about that. Channel size, sometimes size does matter when it comes to reach. That's what matters to me. If I could reach the same number of people with a subscriber base of 3, I would be just as happy. But the number of subscribers definitely impacts how many people you can reach. And that's important to me. And as this channel eventually transitions into what it was intended to be before the pandemic, reach is really going to matter for it to be effective. So, yes, hitting that is important to me, but I don't know that the button itself is. I think it's more just knowing that the effects are going to be there. I would be interested on your take on the shooting of Shaver in L.A. Wow. Is the anniversary coming? So this is asking about a specific incident a while back, years ago. I actually have a couple of videos early on that mention this or make comparisons to it. As far as just a general take that you are going to get from most people who look at situations like that, well, let's do it this way. You have probably heard people who talk about police misconduct use the phrase, and the cop challenged him to a life or death version of Simon Says. this is where that term originated. I was there when the person said it, and it stuck. You are not going to find people who are critical, who look at those situations. You're not going to find a lot of them who say that that was an appropriate outcome. What do you think about Biden and Trump being in a dead heat in polling despite the former POTUS's crazy indictments? Is Biden really that weak, or is this a case of Teflon Don's voters not caring about his legal troubles? When it comes to polling this early on, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I would imagine that around now, actually it would probably be a couple of months ago, but if you wanted to draw a comparison, I would point out that around the same time frame away from the election, Obama and Clinton were both trailing, and the first George Bush had just overwhelming support. The two that were trailing won, the one with overwhelming support lost. At this point, polling about the general election, it doesn't really matter. Pay attention to more of the enthusiasm, the primary polling, and how much support and enthusiasm they have within their own party, and the policy questions. Right now people are saying, X percentage of Republicans think he did something seriously wrong, but, some of them are still apparently going to vote for him. That may change as time moves on. Hey, Bo, why wasn't Trump charged with seditious conspiracy as well, like his underlings, and list some of them? I can only guess it's because DOJ wanted to only use the most easily proven conservative charges. Yes, I think that definitely played into it. Again, NASCAR indictment. Nothing extra and built to go fast. That is what that election interference indictment is. It is worth remembering. We may not have seen everything yet. There may be more to come. Okay. I was wondering if you had any advice for two women who are big fans of yours who want to start a podcast here on YouTube. We would talk about a bunch of things like health, mental health, and have some political things thrown in there as well. I know that you don't really do interviews, but would you be willing to sit down? Yeah. I have videos on this. Like, I think they're mostly titled like, let's talk about starting your YouTube channel. There's one on, I think, this channel on The Roads with Bo, that's called like something like a career day or something like that. And that was a whole bunch of questions from both kids and adults about being on YouTube. Those would be useful, and feel free to send an email, and we can go from there. Wow, that was quick, or at least it seemed quick. I don't know if it was, but that was all of them, and it seemed like a much longer list. Okay, so we will probably have a new format coming that will be on this channel. It'll probably be weekly, and you may see it as soon as next week. The Q&As are going to become a little bit more polished, and there will be some extra stuff thrown before and after the Q&As to provide a little bit more structure to them. And those types of episodes will be on this channel. So I guess that's it. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.